welcome the next candidate for Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 5, Mr. Scott Walker.
Thank you. Again, I am Scott Walker, and I'm not the governor of Wisconsin. And I've never claimed to be the governor of Wisconsin, and I don't think he's ever claimed to be me either. I'm sure I practice law in Dallas and Fort Worth, and I'm sure some of you know that, you've heard that. Some of you are probably thinking, here comes the big city lawyer who's going to talk to us and try to whine and dine us. But the truth is that nothing can be farther from the case. I grew up in a small town, Red Oak, Texas, about 20 miles south of Dallas. When I graduated high school, I think there was 200 people in the city limits. There was 24 in my graduating class. Some of you may know one of the people graduating with me. She lives here. Her name's Barbara Winchester. She and I went to school for a long time together. And if you want to ask her if I have ever gone by the name of Richard Walker, she will tell you no. I even brought a high school yearbook with me. It's in my bag. And all the pictures when I was a senior in high school, actually it's my wife's yearbook. We were high school sweethearts. I signed my name Scott on the top of every picture in that book. Every caption underneath it says Scott Walker. And I'm frankly just a little upset that my opponent keeps saying that I changed my name to run for office to Scott Walker. I've always been Scott Walker. I certainly didn't change my name to do it. And I'm not going to apologize for my name. Also, I've got some ties to East Texas. I've been a lawyer for 18 years. About 16 years ago, a friend of mine is a lawyer. He asked me if I'd do an appeal for him. He was appointed to do it, and he didn't know how to do it. Well, I didn't either, but I told him I had time to learn, so I did. I did the appeal. Not long after that, I did another one. And by that time, I realized, hey, I really like this. I want to do appeals. So I started looking. I lived in Ellis County at that time and practiced there. There's way too many lawyers in Ellis County. And I started looking all over the state of Texas for the best place to get a lot of appellate experience real fast, because I wanted to do what I'm doing today, run for office for an appellate judge. So I found out that Longview and Marshall was two great places to practice law, get a lot of appeals. In Dallas and Fort Worth, to get on the appeal list, you have to write, I think, 10 to 15 appellate briefs and submit them before they'll give you appeals. Most appeals are appointed. So I found out that in Longview and Marshall, you didn't have to have a long history of appellate work to write appeals. So I moved out here, built a house in Longview, lived there 5 years, practiced law, and really, really enjoyed it. But after 5 years, I had tried, I think at that time, about 30 felony trials. I don't know how many appeals. Now I know I've written over 100 appellate briefs. I've been attorney of record on over 1,000 cases. I've tried, I think, 40 total now, maybe a little more than 40 total felony trials. And that is why I'm here today. I think if you think about it, you didn't hear Mr. Webster tell you how many appellate briefs he's ever written. He said he's written appellate briefs. Well, the records show that he may have written one misdemeanor. He also was attorney of record on a couple of bond forfeiture cases, and there was no briefs filed in either cases. And he was the attorney of record on 2 writs of mandamus, and those are not appellate briefs. Okay, so at the very most, he's written one appellate brief. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the highest court for criminal appeals in Texas. That's not being qualified. And he tells you he's tried everything from murder cases to misdemeanor cases. The records in Williamson County show he's never been an attorney of record. Let me say it this way. You can pull it up online, do a record search in Williamson County, wilco.org. Pull up criminal cases put his name in there, and it doesn't show his name listed as the attorney of record on even one criminal case. Not even one. There's some of the other lawyers who pull them up. They've been 800, 1,000, 1,400. Mr. Webster's not been the attorney of record, according to that website, in one single criminal matter. He's certainly not qualified for this position. You know, he takes, in his website, he says he's an experienced trial attorney. Well, maybe he sat second chair on a trial or two with somebody else who was actually trying the case. But the record shows he's never been the attorney of record doing it. Okay? And what we have to look at is experience. You know, I've done my homework. 15 years ago, I wanted this job. And I started paying my dues. I moved halfway across the state where I could get the experience necessary. Once I had enough to get on all the lists in Dallas and Fort Worth, get back close to where I was raised and all my family is, you know, then I moved back, and I've continued to do criminal work ever since. I also do veterans disability. That's the only other thing that I've done any appreciable amount of work other than criminal law. And I'll say this, as far as the veterans disability, I've been doing this for probably about 8 years, and I have one case, and it's an East Texas gentleman who died about a year ago, now represents his wife. His case is still pending after 8 years. You know, that's terrible. It really is. I don't do a whole lot of veterans cases, but my average is probably 4 to 6 years that people's cases are pending. Veterans that are disabled and can't get a dime from the VA for 4 to 6 years, it takes that long. Something needs to be done about that. Also, you know, again, I am a constitutional conservative. I certainly believe in the Constitution. I certainly believe in liberties. I've spent the last 18 years in my law practice, you know, working, fighting for individual liberties. I'm a strong believer in the Second Amendment, and a strong believer in the Fourth Amendment. You know, I believe in our rights to privacy, and I believe that police officers should not have the legal ability to stop us or search our homes without probable cause. And I strongly believe in that, and I've written appellate briefs on those issues many times, and I really believe in individual liberties. If you, in this state, elect me, I will do everything I can to be fair. That's all I can say. I've got the experience necessary. I'll work as hard as I can, and I'll be fair to both sides. I'll look at all cases and be fair. Now, of course, we do have to follow precedent. There's a lot of case law we have to follow, and that's what we as judges do. We're not supposed to legislate from the bench, and I would never be one to be out legislating from the bench. Okay, it's our job to interpret the law, and when there's ambiguities in the law, sometimes people will say, well, the judge is legislating from the bench, but sometimes you have to answer a question that's unanswered. And when that comes before me, I'll do everything I can to be fair. I really appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to be here. I hope that you and the rest of Texas give me the opportunity to serve, and I'll certainly do the very best I can. Thank you very much.
We now move on to our Senate District 1 candidates, Representative David Simpson and Representative Brian Hughes. Senator Kevin Eltife, the current senator in the seat, is not running for re-election. So would you help me welcome candidate